Good evening, everybody. Hope that you can all hear me okay, see me okay. Hope you were able to hear the first couple minutes there. I was back in the, I want to say late 80s, might have been 1990 or so, but I think it was late 80s. Anyway, yes, Eddie Van Halen died Monday. So it's really sad for me. You know, lots of people are dying, and why is that particularly of note? I mean, I guess if you played guitar as like a kid growing up in the 70s and 80s, that guy was your hero. You know, whether or not you were necessarily a fan of Van Halen, the band, or if you thought that his playing was a little sloppy or whatever. You know, there were people, it seemed like there were a couple of camps. There were the sort of purist shredders, you know, who were like, Eddie Van Halen, yeah, sure, he does the double-handed tapping and stuff, but his sweeps are weak, and, he's kind of all over the place, and he concentrates more on showmanship than technical ability. But I think when it comes to, like, just a blend of technical ability and showmanship and songwriting ability, and just musical talent, because, the guy didn't need a guitar. Give him a synth, an early 80s synth, and he made amazing music with that too. So anyway, always admired him. Always thought his claim that, this is probably a crappy thing to say, but he was claiming a lot of the time that he got throat cancer from the metal picks that he used to keep in his mouth. But I never saw an interview with the guy where he wasn't smoking Marlboro Red. So, I don't know. Mike is a bit fuzzy. Can you explain that a little bit more? When, the bass is boosted. Okay. I can fix that, I think. Now, is that any better? And maybe just the volume also. I could do a low frequency cut on this, but I don't know that I want to. Maybe that's a little better. All right, let's take care of this before it gets out of hand. All right. How about now? Same. Still sounds weird. Never gonna get this right. Yeah, turning the gain down significantly though. All right. How about now? That's much better? Okay. All right. Usually I have the gain set to low, too low. Let's see. Still kind of fuzzy. Well, okay. Don't know how much I can do. Turn it down even more, but at this point, now we're... Oh, okay. Well, now because I don't know when I'm reacting. Because of the lag. But hopefully that's better. I'm going to leave it there. If there's still a problem after I snapped my fingers, let me know and I'll consider it a new problem. Otherwise, I'll consider that I somehow managed to fix it. Okay, let me say hi to everybody here. Never get the mic right. Never, just never happens. Okay. Oh, who's this? Oh, wow. Hey, what's up, man? Pavi and Camilla. Okay, good. Hope to see you all later. Hello, Colorful Dreams, Hollow Mode, Chels. Oh, no. Well, you gotta prioritize what you gotta prioritize, so definitely getting a good night's sleep is far more important. Hi, Q. Hi, Emmy. Hi. Oh, what is this? Pepsi. I'm not liking that. It's making me have to... Now that probably peaked. Okay, everybody talked about Eddie Van Halen. Hi, KJ. Enter to eruption. It's all downhill from there. How can you possibly follow up something like that? Exava Machina, good to see you. Adrian Black, hi. All right, let's see if the... Okay, sounds good now. Okay, I'm gonna imagine that it's fine and just kind of go from here. If it gets a little bassy, shout it out. Hey Carlos, how are you doing? Space can, see, but I don't want it to be better than it was. I want it to be awesome. But I'll take what I can get. Yeah, he did. I mean, there's a case of like, there was one genius, musical genius, surrounded by competent bar band players. And that's not to downplay Michael Anthony, who obviously, like, those super high harmonies were great, and Alex is a very competent drummer. David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, not really. I was never really a fan of Van Halen the band very much. Maybe the first couple of albums. Certainly nothing after Sammy Hagar came in. But anyway, lost him. It's very sad. Very unfortunate. He was pretty young. I found something in my yard. I want to show you all something I found. Something I found in my yard. It was under, like, I had like one of those garden weasels. You know those garden weasels, right? And I was using it and trying to kind of oxygenate the soil for one last planting before the winter. And I had a trowel, and I was, digging with the trowel, and I hit like this weird rock, which was strange. And this shield is supposed to stop the peas, but I'll just try and do it again. But anyway, so I was in there and I was digging around and I hit this thing and I dug it up and I cleaned it really, really well. It's pretty neat. I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna show it to you on the show you stuff cam. What do you think? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure precisely what it is. It seems like it whispers to me a lot, especially at night. So it will whisper to me, and I don't know if I'm gonna do any of the things that it's asking me to do. I haven't decided that yet, but no, well, definitely not now. I don't think so. I think they're very, very nice. All right. But anyway, yeah. Says his name's Pazuzu. Don't know what that means. Sounds like, could have sworn that was from a Futurama episode. But anyway. And I also tonight have some, although if the mic is not in great fettle this evening, maybe this isn't the time to do it, but I did bring up some extra sort of ASMR-y objects to try and Pazuzu. Zoo, zoo. But I don't know if that's is that an annoying sound or is that a good sound? I don't know. Or if I just... Of course, then you see it's a shoe brush. So, probably not the most sanitary thing in the world for me to be. I've never used it as a shoe brush. So what does it matter if it was supposed to be a shoe brush? And then I'm a big fan of, I really am a big fan of this thing. It is so damn crinkly and it's so cute. Look at it, sleeping. Adorable, absolutely adorable. Hey, Anu 742, how you doing? Hey, so this back in this body that I'm inhabiting is hurting a little bit. I wanted to thank everybody because, man, we went from 200 subscribers a week ago to now over 1,000. So 1,000 subscribers in the YouTube world means a couple of things. The most important thing is you get a community tab, which means you can kind of announce stuff and you can do the equivalent of like little Instagram posts to your subscribers. You can't do that if you don't have 1,000 subscribers. So I actually don't have it yet. It says it takes them like up to a week. But then again, my other channel has been over 100,000 subscribers for a month now, and I don't have the ability to request the plaque. I think it's because I'm like hovering so close that they think I might dip back down under. And in fact, I was in danger of doing that by posting so much about, or doing so many live streams and posting about the live streams. So it's pretty great that we were able to get this channel up to over 1,000 subscribers, because now I can just post about this channel on this channel. So thank you all a lot. I'm not like a trained pony. I guess I am. The other thing that it means is, well, actually, no, that's all it means. So then you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours watched in order to monetize, right? Which is less important because that's like, if I could have done this on my regular channel and not lost subscribers every time I did it, like insignificant subscribers. Wait a minute, gotta bring up. I already referenced metal bands, Huminers, Coca-Cola, mic problems, use the side camera, says hi. So I don't know if this counts as, mentions losing subscribers or viewers. Yeah. I just wanted to be able to do this without people getting pissed off and leaving. That's all. Yeah, Lindy, this is what that's what I enjoy the most as well. Yeah, the bingo card needs to, like, you guys need, well, you don't need to, right? But there need to be more subtle things because, yeah, I go through that bingo card in the first 5 minutes. No beard scratch yet. Doesn't really. Doesn't really work so well with this. But so I have plans. I have plans for this channel, and plans for things to do in future streams. That should be pretty interesting. I'm hoping, in terms of like having guest people on, doing a little bit of like somewhat of an interview format for some part of it. What's the story on the lamp? Ramona the lamp was a very last minute thing I decided to put there and recenter just for framing purposes. I didn't want it to just be me in the center. I've also changed lenses. I'm on a much longer focal length. It's more of a portrait lens. It's actually closer to this lens. It's not that different in terms of its focal length anyway. In fact, no, yeah, they're both like 80 millimeter lenses. So the camera's actually pretty far away from me now. It used to be up relatively close. So if I were to do that, if I would have done that with the lens that I used in the last every other ones of these, I'd basically be touching the camera and you'd see my hand like all distorted and getting huge. Here, I'm still super far away from the camera when I do that. The pop filter, these are magnetic. These are these little magnetic balls. I'm just gonna put around there in a ring. Again, just like trying to get a little bit of, not have it all be so. Oh, Maddie. We love you too, and we hope that you have a great night as well. My stomach's going. One thing on that bingo card now that is not of any use anymore is the leaves comments up too long, because I have it set to automatically remove the comments, fade out the comments after 15 seconds. So that's never gonna happen again. So I'm sorry. And of course I do, say what you will, and I'm under no obligation to anyone now, but I do genuinely think I love that sound. Since I'm doing it, might as well, right? If you want a wallet that can make ASMR sounds, you can tap it too. I don't care about tapping it. This is all I care about. Weird. It's like the way it. Well, now you can't hear it. There's like a weird sort of tension in the elastic that I really dig. Oh, Levy Oracle. What software do I use? Oh, but look, this doesn't disappear after 15 seconds. I use Adobe Premiere these videos don't get edited. I'm just live streaming. So any look that I have or any overlays or anything that's going on here is all live, happening in Ecamm and with a hardware switcher, which is a thing I have right here in front of me that you cannot see, not because I'm hiding it from you, but because I can't. Here, this is the best I can do is I can take a picture of it, and then I can show you the picture. That's the hardware switcher. And you can see there's like some oil or something on my lens. It's causing all kinds of problems. So yeah, there's Pazuzu. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Is there any other? The hardware switcher is Blackmagic. The main camera is Blackmagic. This is an old Canon. This one here is an old Canon. You can see the color difference. I've actually gotten worked to get it as close as I can. If you watch the older ones of these, the colors don't match at all. But now, this still has more of the Blackmagic look. I'm not going to be able to completely match it until I get another Blackmagic camera. So anyway, yeah, so we got Pazuzu and Fred. Pazuzu and Fred. And who knows, they might go at it in a non, that was not meant to be suggestive. That was meant to be scary. A possessed frog and a possessed ancient artifact. Who here has seen The Exorcist recently? Like within the past year. I watch it at least a couple times a year. Well, yeah, I watch it a couple of times a year. And the scariest thing about it for me is when she's in the hospital and they stick that needle in her and the blood just kind of goes psst, 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 psst. It was not that long ago, and yet that procedure seems so archaic compared to the way that it's done now. And of course, for those movie buffs among you, you would probably know that the the assistant radiologist in that scene was actually a real-life murderer. Was accused of murder. Good night, Lindy. Hope you can drift off. From 73. My gosh. The Exorcist. Well, so there's Exorcist 1, and then there's Exorcist 3. And I think Exorcist 3 is pretty good. It's not 1, but I actually think it's pretty good. I'm a sucker for noir horror, but I think there are a few scenes in Exorcist 3 that are every bit as scary as Exorcist 1. But it's not really that The Exorcist is that scary. It's just that it's kind of the element of torment. Yeah, you all aren't aware of this? I mean, this is you can just Google Exorcist murderer. Yeah, Paul Bateson is his name. He's a convicted murderer, former radiographer. He appeared as the radiological technologist in a scene from the 1973 horror film The Exorcist, which was inspired when the director watched him perform a cerebral angiography the previous year. So yeah, it's kind of weird to see that there is a convicted murderer in that scene, which I think is, the scariest scene in the movie. Just crazy. No, we don't talk about 2. We don't talk about 2. That was interesting. I watched the third day, and I couldn't believe how horrible it was. Like, there was so much about it. It was one of those things that there was so much about it that they got right. And they just blew it died before it even entered production because the writing was just horrible. Like, everybody did their job. Acting was great. Cinematography was great. Everything about it was great, except for the actual story and words coming out of the people's mouths. It was laughable. It was the number of times that it was one of those movies kind of similar to like Saw, where just the number of times when the protagonist had the opportunity to leave or didn't see how obviously like everybody was in on something, or without giving away too much, and then it was just weak. I mean, this is just like jumping on the Midsummer Wicker Man bandwagon, and I actually thought the first episode was great, but the second 2, it just kept going downhill. I know there's a 4th episode now. I haven't seen that, so might watch it, might not. For those of you who were oh, by the way, so I updated my phone to the new Apple iOS version 14 or whatever it is. And one of the features that it has now is it will kind of give you these occasional reminders at the top if you scroll over to like the kind of equivalent of the home news screen. And it will show you like hey, here's like pictures of you or pictures of your family if you want to see them. And one of them that it suggested was tasty bites, like showing pictures of food that I'd taken throughout the year. And so let's see if we're going to be able to see this. Here's what it showed me when my phone algorithmically decided to go through my photos and find all of the instances of delicious food that I had taken pictures of over the past year or so. Or this is more than a year. Note the video, 14 seconds long. Let's just tap on that, shall we? Oh, I can't tap on it because it's a photo of the... I'm an idiot. Yeah, so it decided to put the venomous Brazilian spider that came over to me on half a dozen organic bananas as a tasty bite. Other than that, did pretty well. Got him right on. Oh, look. Hey, Leah. This is Leah Evans, I believe is your last name. Fuck, I hope I'm getting it right. But she runs an improv. She runs a couple of, I think, improv comedy troupes in the Brooklyn, NYC area. And since, COVID, it's been very difficult. They've been doing online Zoom shows that are, she does this thing called Shot for Shot. And I did one of them. And it was so much fun and so much fun to watch. And I've been meaning to beg her to let me watch one again. But yeah, I don't know, Leah, if there's like a thing that people can go to, or is it do they just search Shot for Shot? I'd like to plug it because it was a lot of fun, and I think people would have fun doing it, or watching or doing whatever. Excuse me. I did Back to the Future, and I got to play Marty's mom. That's right, the Lorraine. The beautiful Leah Thompson, portrayed by the beautiful Leah Thompson. She aged. She turned into me. How am I? Oh, by showing. Look, you could barely see. It really, it kind of looks like this logo up here. That spider. And that was like a tiny little thumbnail. It's not like I switched over to the video of the spider. Why would I do that to you? Why? Why am I such a terrible person all the time? What is wrong with me? Oh my God, stop it. I'm sorry, I'm an ass. It makes me a total ass. I'm apologizing. So another thing is I got some comments. Oh, hey, Sweet Pea. How are you doing, Sweet Pea? That's right, Sweet Pea. You were in the audience that night and hung out afterwards, right? That was a lot. Man, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Oh, thank you, Leah. So a bunch of people saw the video I posted on Phoenician Sailor channel. That was an ad for this channel and a channel update for that channel. And they were like, oh, wow, he got all dressed up just for this 1 minute video. No, I got dressed up to do another video. And just while I was there, while I was doing this other video, I did the commercial, the trailer video. You were nervous? I was nervous. I was freaking out. It was a lot of fun though. But anyway, so the main video, I'll show you a little bit of it. It's going to be the Halloween video. And this is not the final form in any way. And I'm just going to show a little tiny bit of it. But this is what I was actually dressed up for. Here we go. A Ford Explorer pulled up into the driveway of a house. The car had 4 wheels, an internal combustion engine, 6 cylinders, and a Yeti-sized carbon footprint. The house had 3 bedrooms, a master bath, a guest bathroom, and it was built before open floor plans were a thing. So it seemed much smaller inside than it actually was, a sort of inverted TARDIS. Not much different than the houses surrounding it. Not much different in any way that mattered from most of the middle-class houses scattered across America. These homes, huddling in their ever-shrinking cloisters, their gentrifiers being slowly yet forcibly relocated from their plunder by the next echelon up, represent a stolen dream repilfered in the blink of a generation, and there was no one to speak for them, nor any ethical imperative for them to cling to. The front door was paneled, painted a glossy white. Anyway, that's all I want to show, but yes, Rod Serling vibes. This was very intentional, and when someone mentioned the other week that I should do something kind of Twilight Zone-y, and my response was, oh, I am doing something kind of Twilight Zone-y. This is what I was talking about, and it is kind of like one of those Inception-y kind of videos, but I'm hoping to take it like even a step further than that. But there is a story, and it is an actual story, and I hope it's not really a horror story, it's more of like a thriller kind of story. I hope it's decent, and the framework around it is going to be sort of levels of commentary woven in with story elements and kind of influencing story. I don't want to give it away too much, but there's going to be, I'm hoping that people find it interesting. Oh, hey. You have always been woke. No, we didn't talk about anything cool. We haven't started on the topic yet. We've been dealing with microphone issues, and I've been showing off my Pazuzu head. Just think of how pissed off Pazuzu would be if he knew that he was being used as like an ASMR prop. Look at him. He would be so mad. He would possess the hell out of you. He would make your head spin around, 1,000 times. Hey, don't focus on me. Focus on Pazuzu. He's not going to like if you don't focus on him. Oh, you're kidding me, Sweepy. Yeah, I noticed when I went to the analytics page, it shows you like how people find what people are searching for when they find your channel. I don't know exactly how it does it, but yeah, two of the things were searching for the name of the channel, and the other thing was Philip Glass buys a loaf of bread. I don't know. I know, right? Like, I just get off on the idea of like how degrading that is for an ancient demonic spirit. Yeah, it may come back to bite me in the ass, who knows? So what I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight, apart from, the debates, which are starting in an hour and 15 minutes, unless, was something I was thinking of over the past couple of weeks really, which was the drive that people have to manifest their ideas, like to do something with their ideas other than have them. So I don't know how this works exactly. I don't know why it showed me that. It seems a little bit, iffy on the moral side of exposing user data to me. But yeah, in 1 hour and 15 minutes, the person pictured here is going to tear Mike Pence his first asshole. Because we all know he doesn't have one. He shits out of his mouth. But anyway, so having ideas, right? Any sort of creative idea or something that strikes you, or just like it can be an insight, it can be an idea for a story, it can be an idea for something that you like, you want to draw, just ideas, right? Why, like what causes us to be so, like for me, I have to drop everything. Like if I get an idea, I don't know what I did. Well, I know what I did. I had, like before iPhones, I had one of those little digital recorders, and before that I had a little dictaphone with the tiny little tapes. But I always had to carry something around with me to jot down ideas, and then to develop them, right? And I don't know where that compulsion comes from. It might be, I wonder how much of it is like self-obsession, right? Or just thinking that you're important and therefore your ideas deserve to be expressed in the world and shouldn't be forced to live and die in your head. That there's some value that they have outside of yourself. I forget who said it, but there was a quote about music being the only art form that doesn't require an audience to enjoy. So, and I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Like, like, yeah, it's fun to like play a musical instrument, but I don't think it's any more fun than, say, writing or painting. But could be wrong. I feel like I get like these fits of mania almost, where I have an idea, it's sitting around, I'll fall back on that trope, which I don't think is valid or true, that if an idea is a good idea, you won't forget it, and you're kind of you're sort of putting your ideas through their own winnowing process by just letting them sit for a while. And if they're sticking around and you can't get them out of your head, then maybe they're worth something. And if they disappear, then they must not have been very good. I don't agree with that at all, because I've gotten like into the habit of recording everything and trying not to judge it. And then once every month, or whenever I'm lying in bed, can't sleep or something, I'll just start to go through all these things that I've recorded and or written. And a lot of them, the majority of them, strike me as alien, which is the perspective you want, right? To sort of objectively judge your own ideas. It's easy, or it's very difficult to be an objective listener, or to be objective about anything that you create. But if you can put some space between yourself and the thing, and then some time goes by, and maybe enough time goes by, and especially if you're, like I said, like recording everything, not really just trying to only record the good stuff, right? Because you're making a judgment when you do that on what is the good stuff. And future you, I mean, you're subjective. So you really shouldn't be, in a sense, judging the good stuff. Let future you judge the good stuff the more objective version of yourself, judge the good stuff. So then maybe once a month, I will go through like just things that I've recorded or things that I've written down, ideas, and see if there's anything worth developing. A lot of them end up, this sounds horrible, but a lot of it end up being tweets. And then a lot of them end up being like throwaway lines in videos, or some of them end up being seeds of videos. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So I have the lyrics to, I did a song for, I done a, Mom, Dad, I done a song. I did a song for Logan, which I then reused for The Last of Us 2, which I called Flint to the Fight. And I have the lyrics that I just kind of jotted down here. And they're almost what they were. But that was 2 years ago. Like, what is this? And I have a note here. The comfort of the omniscient hero. House MD, Poirot, Sherlock Holmes, Rick and Morty. Oh, okay. I know what I'm talking about there, right? The kind of feeling you get when, the relaxed feeling you get when you're watching a form of entertainment where there is a character or protagonist who is never wrong or who is ultimately always right, and how there's just like this feeling, in me at least, like I get this feeling like, man, wish I had someone like that in my life, you know, like somebody I could depend on and they would always be right, you know. Let's see. That's the assumption I used to make, and I don't anymore. Hey, Jessica, but this is why you got to write them down, right? I move this up some. Yeah, anything you can do to ease the pain. Pazuzu has some ideas on how to ease the pain. Yeah, this is a horrible thing. I get this occasionally myself, so I sympathize. If you, at some point, everybody here has probably seen Bob Ross, right? And he would talk about how when you get to the point that you're piddling, that's when you need to call a painting done. Now, Bob Ross was not a great painter. I mean, he just wasn't. Let's call it like it is. He was an excellent personality, seemed to be a decent human being, although the whole Bob Ross, William Alexander thing is pretty shady. When Magic White became Liquid White and the William Alexander line became the Bob Ross line, shady shit there. I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, analysis paralysis. Yeah, so I definitely try to not fall victim to that anymore, or at least as much. And generally that just means like I do stuff even if I don't think it's very good. Oh yeah, Sweet Pea, how old are you? Hmm. Hmm. And I wonder, Leah, how many great ideas are just like sitting in notes folders on phones that will never be developed. It's probably a little sad. This is great. This is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like there's there's I think for a lot of people, this drive to commit your idea, because thoughts are so ephemeral, right? Oh, that's nuts. Of course, President Yu knows what's going on. Let's see. This sounds creepy, but it isn't. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? So the omniscient hero is like sort of the person you can rely upon, and the thought that they could never be wrong. I remember reading Agatha Christie when I was much younger, and just loved the idea that Poirot, Hercule Poirot, everybody knows who he is. He's a Belgian detective who was in a lot of Agatha Christie books, not all of them. But Poirot was never wrong. He was always right. And in fact, so Agatha Christie played with that sort of hole that she dug herself, and she used it in a sort of meta way that I found pretty cool. I'm not of the opinion that Agatha Christie is a great writer. I think she had some great ideas, but I don't think she's a very good writer. I think, like, if you read Agatha Christie and you're like, man, these are neat stories, I just wish they were written better, then you should check out P.D. James, because P.D. James is like, if Agatha Christie could write, she would be P.D. James, and also not be racist. But that was a long time ago. Gotta have a little bit of, give her a little bit of leeway on that. But anyway, so she had this idea of her character, Poirot, who could never be wrong. And in the book, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, I'm going to spoil Mysterious Affair at Styles, but the book's 90 years old or whatever, so more than that. Like 90 years old. In the book, Poirot makes a proclamation, like about a third of the way through the book, that they're arresting a person that they think is guilty of this murder. And Poirot says, I want to get this right. He says something like, you cannot arrest that man. If you arrest that man, the killer goes free, right? Something like that. And I was like, oh shit, so that guy can't be the killer, because Poirot was never wrong, right? But of course, in the end, it just turns out that they were arresting him too soon, and Poirot wanted them to wait, because by arresting him, they were preventing him from getting the evidence he needed to actually convict him. Whatever, I thought that was kind of clever. Okay, let me go down here, because there's a bunch of comments. Sweet Pea is 16. Well, the reason that I bring that up is because it's easy to remember stuff when you're 16. Both because your mind is incredibly agile, and you just don't necessarily have so many things jostling for position up there. Oh, you're 16, but you sound and look 13? Wow. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to disagree with you here. I'm going to disagree with you. I think, well, it depends what you say by mystery novel. Are you talking about historical mystery novelist? Because let's not forget Edgar Allan Poe wrote a mystery. Murders in the Rue Morgue. I would say that he was a good writer. I think P.D. James is a great writer, but she's modern. She just died a few years ago. Man, this makes me feel just like crap. Am I the oldest person here? Oh. Well, but which are you really? Like, you may feel one, right? But be the other. And I'm guessing you're 20. And I can remember being 20 and thinking I felt 46 until I turned 46. Oh boy. Oh, that's right. No, we don't want to. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, we don't want to give ages. I'm sorry. If we could probably stop with the ages, that would be great. Sorry. Yes, I actually repurchased and reread it because of how appropriate it was to the Justice, or all but sealed deal of Justice Comey and the super spreader event there. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Just because we don't want this, I just would prefer not to be giving ages. I don't know I don't think YouTube flags it or anything like that, but it's just, I just want to avoid, I want to keep things as wonderful and lovely and light as possible. Yep, this is... Yeah, but the Masque of the Red Death is, well, one, it's pretty short, and so he named the prince Prospero, right? And the events leading up to the death of the people at the party are really, really, it happens really fast. In fact, hold on one second. I'm sorry, I gotta put this on. Gotta put it on. Be right back. It's 5 pages long. I'm tempted to read it. It's so short. Oh, hey, Nasha. Hi, Nasha. How are you doing? And I love this. I love this illustration. I think it's quite lovely. Or are you a real English author if the bard hasn't ripped you off? You're Christopher Marlowe. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I don't even know what the copyright deal is on this. What is the... Oh, of course, this is well out of copyright. Okay, so for those of you who know, right, President Trump, our president, the president of the United States, for those of you who are in the United States, had a lavish get-together for him and all his friends in the middle of a pandemic to celebrate what they thought would be the imminent confirmation of Justice Amy, what is it, Amy Barrett? I want to say Amy Barrett Comey? Amy Coney Barrett. I'm conflating her with James Comey. Amy Coney Barrett, right? It's a great movie. Anyway, okay. So she had, oh God, Poe is so good. Like, Poe is so much better. I think Edgar Allan Poe is so much better than Lovecraft. S4S is Shot for Shot, which is a thing that Leah runs. I don't know, Leah, did you put up something that I can put up? Is it worthwhile for me to put up like a link or something? I'd be happy to, if you want to. It's pretty funny. The Masque of the Red Death. The Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and the horror of blood. There were sharp pains and sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding at the pores with dissolution. The scarlet stains upon the body, and especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban which shut him out from the aid and the sympathy of his fellow men. And the whole seizure, progress, and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. Can you imagine that? It's like Ebola. Like that sounds like some hemorrhagic fever. But the Prince Prospero was happy and dauntless and sagacious. When his dominions were half depopulated, he summoned to his presence 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends from among the knights and dames of his court, and with these retired to the deep seclusion of one of his castellated abbeys. This was an extensive and magnificent structure, the creation of the prince's own eccentric yet august taste. A strong and lofty wall girdled it in. This wall had gates of iron. The courtiers, having entered, brought furnaces and massy hammers and welded the bolts. They resolved to leave means neither of ingress or egress to the sudden impulses of despair or of the frenzy from within. The abbey was amply provisioned. With such precautions, the courtiers, I think I said courtiers before, might bid defiance to contagion. Oh, so they're going to be fine because they're all brought together in one place and they're all kind of sealed in. So nothing can get in, nothing can get out. Going to be great. There were buffoons, there were improvisatori, there were ballet dancers, there were musicians, there was beauty, there was wine. All these and security were within. Without was the Red Death. So here's, you see they're all safe in their castle. Outside is the Red Death. It was toward the close of the 5th or 6th months of his seclusion, and while the pestilence raged most furiously abroad, that the Prince Prospero entertained his 1,000 friends at a masked ball of most unusual magnificence. It was a voluptuous scene. That's a weird adjective. Voluptuous scene. Voluptuous scene, that masquerade. But first let me tell of the rooms in which it was held. There were 7. Doesn't seem like a lot. An imperial suite. In many palaces, however, such suites form a long and straight vista, while the folding doors slide back nearly to the walls on either hand, so the view of the whole extent is scarcely impeded. Here the case was very different, as might have been expected from the Duke's love of the bizarre. Bizarre is italicized. The apartments were so irregularly disposed that the vision embraced little than more than one at a time. Sorry, so you could only see like one room at a time, right? They're staggered. There was a sharp turn at every 20 or 30 yards, and at each turn a novel effect. To the right and left, in the middle of each wall, a tall and narrow Gothic window looked out upon a closed corridor which pursued the windings of the suite. These windows were of stained glass whose color varied in accordance with the prevailing hue of the decorations of the chamber into which it opened. That's pretty neat, right? Every time I itch my nose. Zizek. Why do I know that? Who is Slavoj Zizek? I know that name. Damn it. Oh. That at the eastern extremity was hung, for example, in blue, and vividly blue were its windows. The second chamber was purple in its ornaments and tapestries. So here, the panes were purple. Makes sense. The third was green throughout, so were the fourth was furnished and lighted with orange, fifth was white, the sixth was violet. Just saying, the sixth room was violet. You know? The 7th apartment was closely shrouded in black velvet tapestries that hung all over the ceiling and down the walls, falling in heavy folds upon a carpet of the same material and hue. But in this chamber only, the color of the windows failed to correspond with the decor. The panes here were scarlet, a deep blood color. That is totally the room I would be hanging out in. That's where I would be. I'd be hanging out in the black room with the scarlet panes. Now, in no one of the 7 apartments was there any lamp or candelabrum amid the profusion of golden ornaments that lay scattered to or fro, or depended from the roof. That's a weird way of saying suspended. Depended from the roof. Suspended from the roof. It's interesting. I love the way that he writes. There was no light of any kind emanating from lamp or candle within the suite of chambers. But in the corridors that followed the suite there stood, opposite to each window, a heavy tripod, bearing a brazier of fire that projected its rays through the tinted glass and so glaringly illuminated. It's not illuminated the room, it's illumined the room. Man, you gotta be on your game when you're reading this stuff. And thus were produced a multitude of gaudy and fantastic appearances. But in the western or black chamber, the effect of the firelight that streamed upon the dark hangings through the blood-tinted panes was ghastly in the extreme, and produced so wild a look upon the countenances of those who entered, that there were few of the company bold enough to set foot within its precincts at all. Man, I would just be there. That would be my place. That's what I'd be doing. I feel like this should be scotch. Let me get a little water. Wood deer. There's no fireplace, but you could have like the sounds of fire. Oh my God, this tobacco smells so good. It was in this apartment also that there stood against the western wall a gigantic clock of ebony. Its pendulum swung to and fro with a dull, heavy, monotonous clang, and when the minute hand made the circuit of the face, and the hour was to be stricken, there came from the brazen lungs of the clock a sound which was clear and loud and deep and exceedingly musical, but of so peculiar a note and emphasis that, at each lapse of an hour, the musicians of the orchestra were constrained to pause momentarily in their performance to hearken the sound, and thus the waltzers perforce ceased their evolutions, and there was a brief disconcert of the whole gay company, and while the chimes of the clock yet rang, it was observed that the giddiest grew pale, and the more aged and sedate passed their hands over their brows, as if in a confused reverie or meditation. But when the echoes had fully ceased, a light laughter at once pervaded the assembly. The musicians looked at each other and smiled, as if at their own nervousness and folly, and made whispering vows, each to the other, that the next chiming of the clock should produce in them no similar emotion. And then, after the lapse of 60 minutes, which embraced 3,600 seconds of the time that flies, there came yet another chiming of the clock, and then the same disconcert and tremulousness and meditation as before. But in spite of these things, there was a gay and magnificent revel. The tastes of the Duke were peculiar. He had a fine eye for colors and effects. He disregarded the decor of mere fashion. Sorry. His plans were bold and fiery, and his conceptions glowed with barbaric luster. There are some who would have thought him mad, you think? Just some, though. Not all of them. See if you can tell which parts are like me ad-libbing and him actually. He had directed in great part the movable embellishments of the seven chambers upon occasion of this great fete, and it was his own guiding taste which had given character to the masqueraders. Be sure they were grotesque. There were much glare and glitter and piquancy and phantasm, much of what has been seen in Hernani. I don't know what that is, Hernani. Does anybody know what Hernani is? It's referring to another work that I'm not familiar with. There were arabesque figures with unsuited limbs and appointments. There were delirious fancies such as the madman fashions. There was much of the beautiful, much of the wanton, much of the bizarre, again, in italics, something of the terrible, and not a little of that which might have excited disgust. There's like an eyes wide shut kind of deal going. To and fro in the seven chambers there stalked, in fact, a multitude of dreams, and these, the dreams, writhed in and about, taking hue from the rooms, and causing the wild music of the orchestra to seem as the echo of their steps. And anon, there strikes the ebony clock which stands in the hall of the velvet, and then for a moment all is still, and all is silent, save the voice of the clock. The dreams are stiff frozen as they stand, but the echoes of the chime die away. They have endured but an instant, and a life half-subdued laughter floats after them as they depart. And now again the music swells, and the dreams live and writhe, to and fro, more merrily than ever, taking hue from the many-tinted windows through which stream the rays from the tripods. But to the chamber, which lies most westwardly of the seven, there is now none of the maskers who venture, for the night is waning away. Again, I would definitely be in that seventh chamber. Let me be sure. Is this a test stream? Yeah. There flows a ruddier light through the blood-colored panes, and the blackness of the sable drapery appalls. And to him whose foot falls upon the sable carpet, there comes from the near clock of ebony a muffled peal, more solemnly emphatic than any which reaches their ears who indulge in the more remote gaieties of the other apartments. Stay out of the 7th room. So I think what they're saying, right? But these other apartments were densely crowded, and in them beat feverishly the heart of life, and the revel went whirlingly on until at length there commenced the sounding at midnight upon the clock. And then the music ceased, as I have told, and the evolutions of the waltzers were quieted, but there was an uneasy cessation of all things as before. And yet now there were 12 strokes to be sounded by the bell of the clock, and thus it happened, perhaps, that more of thought crept, with more of time, into the meditations of the thoughtful among those who reveled. It's like, imagine that, right? Like this party in this crazy, weird castle with these like 7 themed rooms, sort of rainbow, but in this dark way, with all illuminated by braziers, right? And this clock sort of centrally located, and every hour when it chimes just produces this really bizarre echo that makes everybody just stop. They just stop. So when it's midnight, obviously it tolls 12 times. So long time for a bunch of revelers to just kind of be sitting there like, when's that going to be done? In an assembly of phantasms such as I have painted, it may well be supposed that no ordinary appearance could have excited such sensation. In truth, the masquerade license of the night was nearly unlimited, but the figure in question had out-Heroded Herod, and gone beyond the bounds of even the prince's infinite decorum. There are chords in the heart of the most reckless which cannot be touched without emotion. Even with the utterly lost, to whom life and death are equally jest, there are matters of which no jest can be made. That's an interesting point. Like, even if you don't care about life and death, there are still things you don't joke about, right? And there's still some things that are beyond what you might be considered funny, or let's go back to the tobacco. The whole company indeed seemed now deeply to feel that in the costume and bearing of the stranger, neither wit nor propriety existed. Uh-oh. I got a bad feeling about this guy. I got a bad feeling about this guy. The figure was tall and gaunt, enshrouded. I'm changing now. Okay, for the last 3 pages, English accent. Enshrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. No, not that kind of English, I guess. Of the grave. The mask which concealed the visage was made so nearly to resemble the countenance of a stiffened corpse that the closest scrutiny must have had difficulty in detecting the cheat. And yet all this might have been endured, if not approved, by the mad revelers around. But the mummer had gone so far as to assume the type of the Red Death. His vesture was dabbled in blood, and his broad brow, with all the features of the face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. When the eyes of Prince Prospero fell upon this spectral image, he was seen to be convulsed, in the first moment with a strong shudder either of terror or of distaste, but in the next, his brow reddened with rage. "Who dares," he demanded hoarsely of the courtiers who stood near him, "who dares insult us with this blasphemous mockery? Seize him and unmask him, that we may know whom we have to hang at sunrise from the battlements." It was in the eastern or blue chamber in which stood the Prince Prospero as he uttered those words. They rang throughout the 7 rooms loudly and clearly, for the prince was a bold and robust man, and the music had become hushed at the waving of his hand. It was in the blue room where stood the prince, and a group of pale courtiers by his side. At first, as he spoke, there was a slight rushing movement of this group in the direction of the intruder, who at the moment was also very near at hand, and now, with deliberate and stately step, made closer approach to the speaker. But from a certain nameless awe with which the mad assumptions of the mummer had inspired the whole party, there were found none who put... Oh gosh, this is the last page, sorry. Forth hand to seize him, so that, unimpeded, he passed within a yard of the prince's person, and while the vast assembly, as if with one impulse, shrank away from the centers of the room to the walls, he made his way uninterruptedly, but with the same solemn and measured step which had distinguished him from the first, through the blue chamber to the purple, through the purple to the green, through the green to the orange, through this again to the white, and even thence to the violet, ere a decided movement had been made to arrest him. It was then, however, that the Prince Prospero, maddening with rage and the shame of his own momentary cowardice, rushed hurriedly through the 6 chambers, while none followed him on account of a deadly terror that had seized upon all. He bore aloft a drawn dagger, and had approached in a rapid impetuosity to within 3 or 4 feet of the retreating figure, when the latter, having attained the extremity of this velvet apartment, turned suddenly and confronted his pursuer. There was a sharp cry, and the dagger dropped gleaming upon the sable carpet, upon which instantly afterwards fell prostrate in death the Prince Prospero. Then, summoning the wild courage of despair, a throng of revelers at once threw themselves into the black apartment, and seizing the mummer, whose tall figure stood erect and motionless within the shadow of the ebony clock, gasped in unutterable horror at finding the grave cerements and corpse-like mask which they had handled with so violent rudeness, untenanted by any tangible form. And now was acknowledged the presence of the Red Death. He had come like a thief in the night, and one by one dropped the revelers in the blood-bedewed halls of their revel, and died each in the despairing posture of his fall. And the life of the ebony clock went out with that of the last of the gay, and the flames of the tripod expired, and darkness and decay and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. The end. The blood-bedewed halls. I love that. I apologize. The accent was, generally, you don't want to do an accent on something you're reading unless you've had it go through. Anyway, that was the Masque of the Red Death. And, we could only hope that something similar might have happened. But it kind of did, kind of didn't. Certainly not with the pomp and ceremony and style that Poe would have had it go down with. Instead, it was a mockery, even of mockeries. So, yeah, we hung out a few times. We worked on a couple of videos together. He was cool. So, a little dark, Oh, I didn't even see that Grace was here. Hey, Grace. Yeah, the VP debate. I gotta watch that too. But I think it starts at 9:30, doesn't it? I hope it starts at 9:30. Anyway, so the next thing that I wanted to kind of get into, now that we've talked about manifestation of ideas and have read through the Masque of the Red Death. Thank you for coming by, Space Can. I hope you have a good sleep. What I wanted to talk about was how strange. Man, that's the one thing about Poe. Don't lend him money. I thought it started. Why did I think that it started at 9:30? Let's see here. Yeah. Yes. I get it. Right. Yes. Oh, it does begin momentarily. This puts me in a bit of a pickly spot because I really want to see Harris tear Pence apart. I don't know why I thought it started at 9:30. What can we do? Gosh. I love you all. And I really, really enjoy doing these streams. But I feel like I have to watch this live. I thought it was starting at 9:30 and I could do a good 2 hours. But I know, DVR. If all right, I'll tell you what. So I'm more than happy to go ahead and play it and hang out. But the thing is that like that won't be very entertaining. I would just be, I'll just be watching it and being like, yeah. Well, come on though. Don't you want to see Mike Pence get his ass handed to him? Like that's what I want to see. That's really what I want. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm gonna end up being like not being able to pay attention. But I promise I will make it up. Have like an extra long stream next time, or maybe I'll do like a surprise one over the weekend or something if I have the time. But yeah, for now I think I'm gonna cut it off, and I will see you all next time. And thank you so much for showing up. And go watch the debate if you have the ability to, or if you want to, or if you know what, maybe do it, don't do it. It's up to you, right? But anyway, I will see you all next time. Definitely next week, and hopefully sooner. And take care, and be safe, and all that kind of stuff. And maybe next time the mic won't have a problem. I had a lot of fun tonight, so thank you all again. All right, take care.